Well, everyone, Steven here once again. Before we get started, you know the routine by now, but for those who don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell for notifications, and so forth. I decided to do a special video today so we can talk about not only the finale for the Truck Series, season-wise that is, but talk about a couple other things that caught my attention yesterday as well. So first things first, the Truck Series race last night was a pretty good one, I must say. Compared to last year, when it was essentially a demolition derby late, for the most part it was relatively clean. Ty Majeski dominated the race and ultimately won it and the championship, giving ThorSport Racing his fourth championship in 6 years, and his first. Which I think, for the most part, was set a danger, for the remainder for everybody else in the Truck Series, that if ThorSport has an entry at Phoenix that has a shot for the title, don't count them out. We'll see at Training 5 if ThorSport can continue the streak of getting another championship or not. But to be honest, I kind of like to see that dominance continues in the Truck Series for ThorSport. They might be the best team in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, well, at least at Phoenix, or when it was Homestead, they're usually on the spot. I'll say that for them in that regard. Speaking of the Truck Series, if the Wikipedia article on the 2025 schedule is true, then 9 races, apparently, will be broadcast on Fox next year for the Truck Series, plus 2 on FS2, with the remaining ones on FS1. Now, the 9 tracks include Daytona, Phoenix, Pocono, Charlotte, also Vegas, and to be honest, I don't have the Wikipedia article on hand with me, so I don't know all 9 races per se, but assuming if this is true, then like I said, 9 truck races should be on Fox next year, and 2 on FS2, which will include the last cable race, Indy, and the opening round in the playoffs, Darlington, or FS2. But regardless of the FS2 situation, if this is true, and I do want to say the word if, that this is a great move for the Truck Series in terms of exposure. The only problem is that we still don't know at this point if there's going to be any changes in the broadcast booth next year for the Truck Series as far as lead announcer. Because obviously Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip will still be there in the booth next year, but we still don't know if Adam Alexander or Jimmy Little will be the full-time play-by-play announcer for the Truck Series or not. But we shall see. Next, it was confirmed by Steve Phelps that Xfinity will be back to sponsor that series in 2025. Although there is no done deal yet on whether or not Xfinity will continue to sponsor the series beyond 2025. If I had to guess this time, they probably will, which would make sense since arguably Xfinity has been the name of the series since 2014, and it'll be kind of hard per se for NASCAR to find a new sponsor for that series. I know some would rather go back to the Busch Series days or Nationwide, but I don't think either one of them would sponsor the entire series once again, or if Nationwide is interested in coming back at all. Let's be real here. But we'll find out in 2025 if this will be the last year for Xfinity to sponsor that series or not. Now, the other big story from yesterday I want to talk about was basically we had a ruling regarding to determine whether or not the teams that are battling NASCAR 2011 front row can still operate as charters or not next year. And the answer to that is no. Basically, the judge said that because you fail to show proof that the teams will shut down if you operate as an open team, but just assume that it will, then yeah, for now you're going to be an open team, and we'll see if what you said is true or not. Here's the thing, though. The teams are going to get less money as open teams compared to charter teams. So there will be some consequences because of this. Rather than not, we could see one car, other two open teams forced to shut down operations and just be a single car team. Or they'll be forced to run a part-time schedule. Or they'll be forced to race an Xfinity or Truck Series full-time. Because at least those two, you don't have to worry about charters at all. Which, in the case of front row, could be the best thing they could do right now, is just focus exclusively on the Truck Series program and just get out of the Cup Series entirely. 2011, in theory at least, could operate an Xfinity Series team and just run that. But rather than not, they want to stay in Cup and be an open team regardless. Especially if the rumors are true in 2311's case that they could lose Tyler Reddick and several sponsors if they can't be a charter team, remains to be seen. But if they do lose Reddick, where can he go from here? There's not a comparative ride left in the Cup Series, and there's not many open seats in the Xfinity or Truck Series left either. Personally, I think Reddick would be forced to make the best of it for 1 year. And if he does opt out for 26, then we'll see. At this point, it all depends on the judge, or whether or not how long the lawsuit between the NASCARs and the teams will continue. One thing's for sure, though. Assuming this continues into the off-season, it's going to be interesting to follow, along with who's going to go in the broadcast booth for TNT, CW, and Amazon for the new season, besides Dale Jr. in the case of Amazon and TNT. Because remember, there's no final word yet on who's going to take over, who's going to be in the booth for those races. Spencer says in the CW's case, their association with NBC wraps up today. So this could be the last time that we will hear Rick Allen call a NASCAR race, unless he signs on with the CW full time, or goes with Amazon or TNT. Obviously, Burton and Letarte will most likely stay with NBC for 25, unless Steve decides to add more races to his schedule due to his commitment with True TV. But we'll see. Now, I did change my mind on who I think the Xfinity Series champion is going to be, because originally I said Allgaier, but I'm going to change my mind today and say Cole Custer, with the Twain team winning the owner's title. Allgaier is good at Phoenix, don't get me wrong, but I think Custer's just a little bit better. Now, it's possible that the 7 team could still get the owner's title, but we'll see. We shall see later today at 7:30 on the CW and MRN if Custer wins, Allgaier wins. Would it be Hill, Allmendinger, or if the Twain team can take the owner's title? I'll be back possibly tomorrow for a brief recap of that race, plus my final Cup Championship pick. See if I change my mind on that or not as well. Call me a hypocrite if you want to on changing my mind, but I do have the right to change my mind if I want to, as far as the championship goes. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye! Before I start the recap portion of this video, I do want to send my condolences to Bobby Allison, who passed away earlier tonight, or yesterday, by the time this gets uploaded. Bobby won 85 races in his career, including several Daytona 500s, including his last in 88, where he finished first to his son Davey, several Coke 600s, and a couple of Southern 500s. I'll do the exact counting description of the video. But before we talk about the race, I did want to send my condolences to the Allison family at this time. But oh boy, what a race it was! First of all, congratulations are to Riley Hurst on getting the win, which, for the record, could be the last win in NASCAR for Stewart-Haas, at least in the Stewart-Haas era of the team, since Haas will be back going solo in February. But more importantly, after 14 years in NASCAR, 12 in the Xfinity Series, mind you, Justin Allgaier finally is the champion in NASCAR. Once again proves that, for the most part, if you want to win the championship in the Xfinity Series, you gotta go through Junior Motorsports, similar to what ThorSport did with the Truck Series. Now the question remains for tomorrow, or tonight, depending on when it gets uploaded, is can Penske do the same thing and create a dynasty of their own, more or less? Now, I don't have the exact numbers on Junior Motorsports and the Xfinity Series, but I will put that in the description as well, just to keep track, you see. But I did want to share my brief thoughts on the race as well, because for a while, it looked like that Allgaier, who suffered a violation for jumping the restart and then speeding on pit road while serving his penalty, might be out of it. But fortunately, there was a caution that did play back into Allgaier's favor, and in overtime, he intentionally made what I think was arguably the championship clinching move all season, passing Jesse Love late in the race to secure the championship. But on the final lap, Riley Hurst ultimately passed him and got the race win. I also note, since I did for the first time in weeks, or about a month, watched the CW broadcast on YouTube TV, is that from the way Jeff, Steve, and Rick were talking about, this was the last race together. The only question wasn't answered though was, is Rick staying to CW? Is he going to Turner? Amazon? Is Jeff and Steve staying with NBC? If not, where would they go? But I did like the fact that it did at least reflect on what time they have together in the broadcast booth as well. For the 10 years or so, the three of them were together. I thought that was a nice touch as well. Though it's kind of funny that college football pushed pregame coverage to News Nation, and then during the post-race coverage of the Xfinity Series, it did the same thing to the other college football game that night. So college football fans of those two teams basically knew what Xfinity Series fans went through earlier in the night. Speaking of that, did anyone else notice that at least on YouTube TV, that they had an audio issue in the pre-race coverage? Because I noticed it. Anyway, those are my thoughts regarding the Xfinity Series finale at Phoenix, which, like I said earlier today, the series will be back next year with that name. As for who's going to be calling the races next year, we still don't know. But I guess we'll find out either late this year or early next year to see where everybody will be going to with CW, Turner, and Amazon. Until then, I'll be back maybe tomorrow or tonight or today with my final preview of the Cup race, as well as my Cup Series thoughts after work. In the meantime, I'll see all of you next time. Bye.